Hi, I'm Meryl Kennedy and I blog at otherwiseamazing.com. I'm going to show you how to make these paper lanterns or origami candle holders out of watercolor paintings. You can make these out of other kinds of paper as well, as long as it's the right weight. But you can read more about that in my post about these lanterns, and you can find a link to that post below this video. These kinds of abstract paintings work really well for this project. The lanterns look really beautiful on their own or when the candle is lit and the light is shining through them. And as it happens, my mother-in-law, Jean Lurson, is a watercolor painter who teaches painting techniques and classes online. And she and my daughter have made a video showing you how to make these kinds of paintings. And in fact, these are the paintings that they made for the video. And then you can take these paintings and make them into the lanterns. There's a link to that video below this one, as well as the link to my full blog post on otherwiseamazing.com. I love this kind of craft for this time of year. It's very simple, but also beautiful. And for me, it really captures the kinds of things I want to make and have for the winter holidays. If you have kids, maybe they could do the paintings, and older kids could certainly do the folding. And they also, I think, make a lovely gift if you're going to somebody's house for a party or dinner or something. And in fact, you can easily unfold them so that they lie flat and then send them in the mail. And then the person receiving it can enjoy refolding it with a little bit of instruction. So once you've got your paintings or your paper ready, the first thing you need to do is to trim the paper to the right size. So this lantern, for example, is from a 10 by 10 square, and this one is from an 8 by 8 square. I don't think you want to go smaller than 8 by 8 or the candle is going to show, but you could go a little larger, say 11 by 11 or 12 by 12. If you want it to be a little bit more of a statement piece. So these I've cut down. This one is 8 by 8. These two are progressively a little bit larger. So one thing to think about as you're painting and then also trimming is that this part of the painting is going to be the top edge here. And this part of the painting is going to be the sides. So you can kind of strategically trim. Like there were some bits here that I really wanted to keep. I wanted this to be on the edge. I wanted this kind of bright orange color. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, obviously, but I wanted this kind of gold right here to be right on the top edge. So just think about that as you're painting and as you're trimming. The next thing is to oil one side of the paper with mineral oil. And if you're using a painting like this, then you want to use the back side. You want to oil the back side. You could use another kind of oil. The important thing is to use one that won't go bad so that your lantern doesn't smell rancid, which would be really gross. They do actually last kind of a long time. I have some that have lasted for years. So you can see these two I've already oiled, and this one I haven't oiled yet. So you can see how much more translucent the paper becomes once you oil it. And I like to do it on one of my cutting boards or my chopping block, and then you gotta like multitask and kill two birds with one stone, right? Because it's nice to oil your blocks and you got to oil your paper. So you want to use about it's about half a tablespoon per sort of ish per piece of paper. It will depend a little bit on the paper. So let's put a little bit on there and then just kind of rub it around. Rub, rub, rub. This would be another good thing if you have smaller helpers around. If you helping you with this project, this one's a fun, kind of easy one, and it's like even if they put their fingers in their mouth or whatever, it won't matter because you're supposed to take this stuff for Anyway. Alrighty, you can see how it's really soaking in there. And you know, if you get too generous with it, that's okay. You can always just use a paper towel or a rag or something to kind of soak it up. So you can see how it's really soaking into the paper there. Okay. I like this part. It's kind of fun. All right, that's feeling pretty good. All right, you can just keep going and pour any leftovers onto your chopping block. And then you're going to want to set this aside. Excuse me. Pick up a little excess there. You want to set this aside overnight and let it sit. It sort of lets the oil soak in evenly, and they always seem like a little bit too greasy to me right after I do it, and then somehow, you know, presto, the next day it seems great. So, okay, done with that. All right, once you've got your square oiled, then it's time to start folding. I like to use a bone folder when I'm doing this kind of folding. It sort of makes everything a little bit crisper and more precise, but you could certainly do it with just your hands. And sometimes fingers are better. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is fold your square in half in all directions. When you're using a bone folder, you get your edges lined up as precisely as you can, and then you want to start in the center and slide it out. Also, when you're doing this kind of folding, origami, you know, you want to be as precise as you possibly can. Makes your finished piece a little bit nicer. All right, then you do it on the diagonal. And I'm just kind of butting it up against my fingers here so that, you know, I know that it's lined up. Okay, and then one of the diagonal ones, we're actually going to fold it in on the reverse, so you can kind of do that now. It makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so that one that you folded in on itself, you want to take that and actually join it together. So kind of pinch it together, and then these sides are going to come in like this. Yeah, and then what you want to do is take each of these flaps that you have. So you've got these kind of your pointy ends down here. Each of these flaps, we're going to open up. And I like to use a tool or something to kind of open up this top part, this very pointy top part. It kind of doesn't want to open up, and then make sure you line up the center crease. And I'm going to do that with each one of these flaps. All right, the next step is to cut off these points here. So you need a cutting mat and a straight edge and either an X-Acto knife or a mat knife. You could do this with scissors, but I find that doing it with a mat knife, get it right on that edge, just makes it cleaner and nicer. It's a nicer cut, nicer edge. All right. Set that aside. Then you're going to take each of these flaps and fold down the point. And I find that this top part here really wants to it doesn't want to fold there. It's tight. So you can kind of encourage it with your fingers up there, and then you can get it lined up properly. I also like to kind of, what am I doing? Flip one on the top and flip one on the bottom, and then it keeps it even. Otherwise it gets kind of lumpy and off kilter. Makes it trickier to fold it. Okay, so kind of get the top part down. Okay, so once you get those all folded down, then you're actually going to unfold them all. And fold them inside on themselves, to the inside. Come on. They kind of don't want to go in the beginning. There, so you get those all folded in on themselves, and then you want to take each of these points here and fold it down just to that line there. So now the only thing left to do is to poke in this bit to create the flat bottom. So you can kind of push it against the hard surface, your table or what have you, and push it down to get it started. And then I actually like to just take a finger inside and then my thumb outside and just kind of make it. And you want to make it at least large enough, you know, to fit your little candle, which is probably going to be a tea light. I also like to make them not so tall. I think they look prettier when they're a little bit wider, but you can kind of work the paper a bit and get it sort of evenly round and flat on the bottom. There, Looks pretty good. Happy with that. And there it is. So here are the finished lanterns or candle holders, and I just wanted to say, it bears repeating that if you are using real tea lights with fire, to be very, very careful because they are made out of paper. So don't leave them unattended. Obviously be very, very careful around children. And you know, one way to get around that is to use the little battery operated tea lights, which work beautifully. So probably can't see that, but anyway, that's a really good option if you're gonna if you want to leave them going for a long time or you're gonna have children around. Okay, that's all I wanted to say on that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and go to otherwiseamazing.com to subscribe to my email list. Right, Winnie? Winnie doesn't care. She's so harsh. You're so harsh. You want a cookie?